Thank you very much for joining us today on the program Healthy Living. My name is Adesuwa Usa Uwagie. Today we want to look at sickle cell. It is one disease that so many people don't know about. Some know about it, but they don't know how to go about it. Some have attributed it to a whole lot of things. It is not in my place to start talking about all this because I am not a professional in that field. But we have somebody here who is going to be helping us with all of this. But do you know what sickle cell is? Do you know how people get it? Do you know what to do when it comes knocking on your door? Do you know where to take your problems to? Do you know how to get it diagnosed and all that? Plenty of this is what we'll be looking today with Mr. Samuel Anyalere, the Deputy Director, Medical Laboratory Scientist, at the University of Benin Teaching Hospital. It's nice to have you join us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, Mr. Samuel, let's look at this disease called sickle cell. What is it all about?
Well, sickle cell is an acronym people give based on the fact that the red blood cells under reduced concentration of oxygen form a sickle shape. This type of red blood cells form a sickle shape. And this sickle shape is not flexible. Scientifically, we say it crystallizes, so it cannot pass, the red blood cells cannot pass through small veins and arteries, so it gets stuck, there is occlusion, that's what leads to pain and eventually distress, serious health distress. So because it formed a sickle shape, the red blood cell forms sickle shape under reduced oxygen concentration.
Really? So where do they get these pains from? You talked about pains, that when the red blood will not pass through the small veins, you know, they start getting pains.
Well,
where do this pain come from? Is that what they call crisis?
Yes. But you see, in the first place, these are inherited disorders from parents, both parents. For you to have a homozygous sickle cell disease, you need to have the S from the father and the S from the mother to be able to have a sickle cell. So if you have two AS, that's the father is AS, the mother is AS, the possibility of SS is there. The mother is, if one partner is AS and the other partner is SS, there is also high risk. However, despite the fact that these are inherited, it's an inherited problem. The problem is actually in the hemoglobin molecule. The hemoglobin molecule at position 6 of the amino acid chain, what is supposed to be there is glutamine, but it's replaced by valine. So that is what creates the whole brouhaha. But the pain comes from occlusion. Occlusion means that nothing goes out, nothing comes in. The red blood cell carries oxygen, and the blood actually removes the toxins from the waste products from the cells and supply the food nutrients. So if nothing is going in, there's occlusion, there is a swelling part, and there's a lot of pain, serious pain. And that is a major problem.
What do they do at that point to ease these pains? Anything,
The best thing is to actually prevent and reduce the crisis to the barest minimum.
To prevent the crisis?
To prevent the crisis.
How do you prevent the crisis?
Beautiful question. To prevent the crisis, we know that a major cause of the crisis is reduced oxygen concentration. So anything that will lead to crowdedness and stuffiness in the house, you need ventilation. So they should be where there is ventilation. That's number one. Then number two, for each individual, they have what we refer to as trigger factors.
Trigger factors.
Yes, these trigger factors for some may be cold, for some may be various things. So they should know what their own trigger factor is. And once they know it, they try to avoid the trigger factor.
What are some of the factors that can trigger it? That can trigger this crisis?
Like I said, a poorly ventilated place, a crowded place where they can reduce oxygen concentration, some cold, if the environment is cold. So those are some of the trigger factors, but they will know. Because this thing has been with them from...
The sufferer will know, or the
sufferer will know. The sufferer will know. Unfortunately, you see, what we have found is that they don't usually want to even talk to the caregiver, because most caregivers believe, oh, you have come again, you started again, that sort of thing. So many of them keep it to themselves until perhaps it's too late, especially if they are children.
It's something to be ashamed of.
No, it's not. I mean, but you know, our society...
Why do want to talk about it?
It is nothing to be ashamed of, because it's not their fault. As a matter of fact, it is the parents' fault. But we live in a society where once you have any problem, any kind of problem, people stigmatize you. And then even I have seen parents that attempt on a number of occasions to abandon those children in the hospital. And it's painful, it's sad. But that is the ugly truth in our society. We're not talking about a sweet little girl, 11-year-old, was abandoned. It took us a little while to search and eventually get the mother, who just dumped her and
run away.
Yes, and run away.
Because of the condition.
Exactly.
Okay, now let's look at how these sufferers come about being sufferers of this disease. You said it's inherited from our parents. Now, let us extract step by step, so that man, that woman out there who is planning to get married will know what to do. So I do not bring in kids into this world to come and suffer, and then they later abandon them.
Well, the issue of love life is filled with emotions, and wherever you have emotions, judgment is clearly impaired. So the best thing under any circumstance is, before you go too deep at all, please, if for whatever reason you might be involved, there's a possibility of being involved in any relationship, even if it's not going to work out, well, you won't lose anything by going to double check your hemoglobin genotype.
Okay. It won't do anything.
It wouldn't harm you to just go find out before you get too deep, so that you don't get too deep and then you feel, well, I'm already in love, it's very difficult, but you think about your life after.
Okay. But people still do it. Now they have done it. Is there no way it can be checked? You know, when the woman is kind of pregnant, is there no way it can be checked? Is there no way it can be diagnosed that this child in the womb or the fetus is going to be a sufferer?
Yes, we do. There is amniocentesis, but you see, there are a lot of ethical issues here. Because if you, for example, at the point of during pregnancy, you find out that this child is an SS, so what are you going to do? You are going to abort the baby? That is, as at today, in the law in Nigeria.
It's not medically right.
In Nigeria, the law today, it's a crime to abort a child, to abort any pregnancy. It is a crime.
But some will say it's not a child yet.
The law does not. The law does not care about individual opinion. The opinion of the law is that that is a life, and nobody has a right to terminate that life, unless, of course, risk benefit ratio. If the mother's life is at stake, we assess at the point on individual basis to find out what can be done to save the life. But that does not mean deliberately taking a life. That is on one hand. Then secondly, you see, you can even, perhaps, let's just say for the purpose of argument, assuming the law even allows it. So you get rid of this baby that you think is SS, and then you allow the other one to stay. And the child that you allow to stay come with even a worse situation like maybe a cancer or even maybe even asthma. What are you going to do? This wood is not good enough, you remove it. That wood is not good enough, you remove it. You're not going to cook the soup.
All right, let's look at complications. Because some people die as a result of being sufferers. I know a couple of persons who have died because, let's look at the complications.
Well,
what are the complications like?
First and foremost, let me even say what they can do. When there is, before crisis, they'll know. So they should go to a well-ventilated place. They should drink a lot of water. Rehydration is very, very important.
Cold water?
No. Warm water. Not cold water, not hot water, but normal warm water. Yes.
Water.
Yes, warm water should be, they should rehydrate at all times. They should drink a lot of water. It really helps.
Okay.
Then they should also, that's before, if you know you're having pains, it's just starting or you have the sign, go to the hospital. One of their major fears is that they will be admitted. You will not be admitted if you go early and we do whatever we could, and you're okay. You go back home. You will not be admitted. We will not give you, there will not be need to give you blood if you're not anemic. Because the point is that there are organs in the body that are, their job is to identify malformed or deformed red blood cells. They pick them up and destroy them. So this is one of the things that lead to anemia.
Okay.
So if they recognize on time, come to the hospital on time, and it's taken care of, it can be, they will go home, no problem. But the complications that arise from these, there are very many. But let me first talk about pain, which is a major issue. People have become addicted to painkillers, and then they come with a lot of ulcers, real skin gangrenous ulcers as a result of self-medication for pain. And some of these painkillers, yes, yes. Yes, they don't have to self-medicate actually, but the pain really could be very bad, and they'll be desperate. And then some of these painkillers are addictive, so they're not supposed to be taking it on their own. When they come to the hospital, we give them, we monitor and we regulate, and we try as much as possible to make sure they are not addicted to it.
So when it's not regulated,
the complication could be very, very horrendous. They have big, heavy, big patches of sores, gangrenous sores, eating into their skin and all of that. It's terrible. We've had quite a number. Then another thing they should, one of the other complications of the disease, but let me first of all tell you that the fallacy that people don't live long is not. I know people who have died.
That's the question to ask. What's the expected life?
I have friends who are sufferers that are knocking on 60 years of age. Yes,
so
both male and female.
You know the secret?
Well, the secrets I've just told you. They rehydrate and they come to the hospital on time, and they do not engage in activities that they know are trigger factors to them, and they come on time. And then another thing they could do is not to avoid support group. They can form support group. When they come to the hospital, they see sickle cell sufferers like them, and then they form a support for each other, and there are NGOs that help them. We've had doctors that, or even healthcare givers that are sickle cell sufferers and have passed on also. But that does not mean that they cannot live. It's actually on an individual basis, based on, you see, human being is a complex being, that human beings have a whole lot of interrelating factors within the body. So management of that interrelating factors, a whole bunch of things come into, so they can really live a normal life. So support group is very important. Then more importantly, our people should stop stigmatizing them, because they are not the offenders here.
The parents are.
It is the parents. So if stigmatization is evil. It's unfortunate that even some religious organizations stigmatize people and call names. This is evil. It must stop. People must not stigmatize. If you cannot help the situation, please just keep quiet and look the other way. Do not make it worse for the people, because the amount of psychological damage you are doing to that person, you don't know. If you cannot help, please just stay away. And with all due respect, religious leaders should not talk about what they don't know much about. They should just keep quiet about things they don't know, rather than calling them names and branding the families, ancestral or whatever. They should just talk about what they know and what is in their religious scriptures, and not dabble into stigmatization, because it's extremely painful.
Is food and let's look at food and fruits. Does it trigger any problem in sufferers of sickle cell?
None that I know of. None. Food. Yeah, you see.
Eat anything?
No.
Everything?
No. For anybody at all, especially sufferers, junk food is bad. Perhaps why they call it junk is because
it's junk.
It's junk. It's trash. So where do you put the trash or junk? In the dustbin. So if you turn your body into a dustbin, that's what you're gonna get. Their immunity is compromised. That's another complication. Yeah. So they could have infection. They could be prone to infection. Everybody is prone to one thing or the other, but they are more prone to any form of infection, including malaria, bacteria, whatever. So they should do things that will improve their immunity. It's also important for them to be happy. That's one major way of boosting immunity without spending a dime. Try to be happy. Try to take life easy. Smile, make jokes, laugh. It's not the end of the world. It's not your fault. You're gonna live with it. There are many people who live with worse situations, and they are doing pretty good, and you will not even know. So,
junk food is a no-no.
Junk food, soda, what we call mineral, and it's very damaging. The consumption of sugar and sweeteners is also very bad. It's not healthy at all for anybody, but especially sufferers, because their immunity is already compromised. However, you see, they don't need so many drugs. If they can just eat, you see, an egg contains a lot of micronutrients, which is very good. Just one egg a day will help. Vegetables will help. And then they should just take it one step at a time.
Boiled?
An egg contains a lot of micronutrients and vitamins. Boiled is best.
Fried?
No. Well, of course, for variety they can fry, but boiled is usually best. Boiled is best. Plantain, banana is good because it has potassium, and of course coconut is very, very good too. Coconut water, yeah, coconut water has potassium also, and a number of health benefits. Talking about fruits now, tomato is great. Tomato has anti-cancer effect. Tomato is really very good. Okay. So fresh tomato, they make it with vegetables, which they call a foriro. It's pretty good. It's very, very, very good. It could be taken as a meal, or just you're watching TV. You can, instead of chin and all the junk, you can snack on vegetables.
Improve their health.
Yes.
So, at what point does sickle cell lead to death?
Okay. Now, before death, let me talk about at what point does it become noticeable. When the child is under 6 months.
6 months.
Yes, we do not. It's not very noticeable, because there's a high hemoglobin, fetal hemoglobin, which all of us has, which eventually transforms into the adult hemoglobin. The adult hemoglobin is either the A, the S, or the C, or the D, or other variants of hemoglobin. So the first 6 months normally look okay, and then as the child grows older and it begins to manifest, then the problems come. What leads to death is complications, really, actually. Complications, but bottom line, they should come to the hospital early. Once they notice anything, they come to the hospital. There are, it's not curable, but it can really be managed. But the moment you mention the word management, again, people have stigmatized that word to mean lack. Management is not lack. Management is running a situation or an establishment or the body or a system to get the optimal benefit from the resources. It does not mean lack. So disease, sickle cell disease, as many others, could be managed, even though it's throughout life, but it could really be managed and they can lead almost normal life.
I know of somebody who gave birth to a son, sickle cell carrier and or sufferer, and the boy, I saw him out of school. I was like, why is this child not in school? Because that is why this topic today on the program Healthy Living, and today he would die anyway. So, and I was like, are you serious? You're not going to take care of him? She said, well, there's no point because the child will go anyway. So why waste resources? Why waste time? Why waste energy?
It is very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. Because that child could be the president of this country. Oh yeah. Because the child, I have told you, I have friends who are sickle cell sufferers around 60-year-old. They have not died.
And they are still fine.
They're doing very well. Some have even retired. Many of them have retired from their jobs, and they're doing very well. Post-retirement, yes.
It's not a death sentence.
It is not. It is not at all. All they need to do is just observe what they've been told in the hospital, and then once they notice anything, they come to the hospital. You see, it is the problem. It's out of, it's crass ignorance. And I'm not talking about ignorance. There could be ignorance of this nature, even among the so-called educated. I'm not talking about only the illiterates. The so-called educated could be the one actually stigmatizing and do not have a proper, or is prejudice. But there are so very many health challenges people have.
So many.
It's so many. And sickle
why
cell, yes, why should it
be singled out?
Singled out. Or why should we stigmatize? Stigmatization is evil. So when people start to say and do this, they have actually lost hope. And it is their fault. It is their fault. In fact, I believe there is Child Rights Act. These people cannot go free. If they are caught neglecting the child, not going to school, they're supposed to be brought to book. They shouldn't be encouraged that at all.
Let's look at treatment. Is it free? In government
the treatment is not. Treatment
is expensive.
Yes, of course. Treatment is not free. Medical treatment of any kind or management of any kind is expensive because even death is not free. For a person that died, you have to purchase a casket or coffin. The place has to be dug. They take money. And you even pay for the place, so it's not free either. So why don't we spend the money and build the person? And they are very productive, usually very brilliant. But another thing I want to also emphasize here is the National Health Insurance Scheme. People should get involved in National Health Insurance Scheme. Because it helps. You pay 10%. A lot of people are not enlightened. They don't know this is the reason for this program. They should find out. They don't have to be government worker or public servants to be able to register.
As an individual, you can.
As an individual, they should. Yeah, I believe they can register for National Health Insurance Scheme, just like any other insurance. You pay a paltry sum maybe on a monthly basis or whatever the program you have chosen for yourself. And then you get, that's one major way to reduce. There is no way in the world that medical facility is cheap. It is not. It is the insurance that helps. Because all of us contribute. So that if anybody falls sick, there is a pool to take from. Somebody has to pay for it. It's those facilities, most of these equipments and materials we use are imported from outside the country and they are dollar denominated. So there is no way anyone can expect them to be cheap. So, National Health Insurance Scheme will help, yes.
Okay.
And prevention is very critical.
Prevention as in, if you're a carrier, you should not...
Prevention, as much as possible, try and check. Try not to have, but if you already do...
You know, a lot of people will tell you, oh, I love her so much, oh, I believe so much. You know, especially those who are very religious. Oh, my religion will take care of this. Don't worry. All I need to do is do this, and this will just vanish. Wishful thinking.
It's one of the challenges we have in the hospital. You see, I will rather appeal to our listeners, with all due respect, sir and ma, please do not be religious. Rather, religion is killing the country. That's why we have Boko Haram.
Okay, let's just...
So the point I beg the people not to be religious, but rather to be faithful to whatever their whatever they believe takes them closer to God. Whichever faith or whatever they believe in, they should be faithful to it. There's a world of difference between being spiritual and being religious. Being spiritual is trying to connecting legitimately with God. When you connect legitimately with God, God will not ask you to harm your fellow man. God will not ask you to stigmatize anyone. God is a good God. It's not a bad God. So those who are doing all of this in the name of religion are actually stigmatizing God, because God will not ask you to harm anybody.
So what you have to do is go to the hospital.
Go to the hospital.
Go do your check, no matter
yes.
what.
Let whoever wants to pray for you can pray. And the prayer can actually pass through the concrete wall of the hospital and reach you right there. And still help the situation. I am a Christian, but I do not believe that you should keep anybody away from medical facility or medical attention in the name of any religion.
Okay, let's look at being a sufferer, a sickle cell sufferer, and childbirth. We've heard stories that most of them, or nearly all of them, will not be able to give birth, whether male or female, that they are not usually potent. How true?
It is not true at all.
Okay, is it advisable for them to get married,
of course,
babies?
Yes. I know a lot of friends who are sufferers that have had children. Yes. Especially females. Yes. They've had babies. Yeah, it's high risk. But I tell you, hemoglobin C, yes, it is high risk pregnancy, no doubt. Okay. But if they come on time, let them register. In fact, every pregnant woman should register on time, especially those who have one form of health challenge or the other. Right on time. They will, when you see, when we say a patient is high risk, it's not stigmatization. We're not tagging you. We are telling whoever is seeing you to double check whatever he's seeing.
Yes.
And to be even more careful. That does not mean that we want you to suffer, or we want to stigmatize you, want to psychologically bother you. That is not the point. So when we say high risk, it means we double check, we give special attention to these people to make sure that they do not. So I know a lot of people that have had children.
Well, when this set of
hemoglobin C is even more.
When they want to have children, what are the step-by-step procedures they should go through?
Once they notice they've missed their period, they should come to the hospital. I've missed my period. The doctor will see them, maybe recommend them to a gynecologist and give them dates. And usually the dates that are given is usually long when you report early. And if you have any complaint or you notice anything before the date you were given, come to the hospital. Come to the hospital. People will give various excuses. Oh, they will not. We will attend to you. Okay. You know, anybody that has been, I can speak for most hospitals, especially University of the Teaching Hospital. Once you get there, if the case, you see even the doctor, the nurses, we are the one that is running up and down, not even you or the relations. We do all we can to get you out of that critical situation. And don't think that we're not, oh, they leave me. It probably means we're attending to somebody whose life is actually likely to go compared with you that is relatively
So
more
what blood group, what genotype will kind of match a sufferer?
Well, when we see transfusion is like organ transplant.
Not just transfusion. I'm talking about when they want to get married now. Before we
Okay,
go to
when they want to get married.
So sometimes they say A.
Okay, well, the thing is this. You see, I don't usually want to talk about marriage because you have children that are born out of wedlock, and Nigerian law does not recognize anybody as a bastard anymore.
Every child is legitimate.
So when people want to have children, I would rather put it that way.
Okay.
When they want to have children, whatever they choose, they should go and carry out checks in the hospital and make informed choice, get counsel. Nobody's going to tell you not to do whatever you want to do, but at least you will know the risk you are running. And you see, the economic impact on the parents too, and the family is heavy. And the psychological impact, imagine, if most people's children are going for birthday, they're spending most of their time in the hospital. So the psychological impact, the social impact, the economic impact is heavy. So it is best prevented. So for any partner or a couple that want to have children, they should ensure for an SS, a sickle cell sufferer should try to marry an AA. Okay. AS should try not to get married at all. Or no, AS should try not to have children. With the probability of sickle cell is there. SS should try to have children with AA, and
not even with somebody with AS.
No. The probability of sickle cell child is still there.
It's still there.
And I know people. The mother is a sickler. The girl is also a sickler. So you can imagine the impact. And the mother has grown really, has gone fast. One of my friends, a 60-something-year-old in Lagos, actually. And the daughter has an NGO that is even helping the sickle cell sufferers, Yeah.
Okay. So let's look at sickle cell and other diseases. What are the
let's talk about treatment. There's one part of the treatment.
We'll come to treatment.
Okay, all right.
We'll come to treatment. So let's look at sickle cell with other diseases.
Okay. When you have any disease, it's a challenge. When you have, remember, first and foremost, I told you that sufferers have reduced immunity because of the body is overworked. The body is not given the nutrients that the sufferers take. The cells in the body do not get adequate. They don't get them adequately. That's why they look like they are malnourished. Even when they're eating well, they may not look so well fed like the others. However, the reason is that the body is not, the cells in the body are not really getting as much as it's being put in. So if we say they have other disease, well, what we call double or triple pathology, anybody who is sick has a health challenge to begin with, but for a sickler, it's more challenging because it can be escalated easily. For anyone at all, the best thing is to prevent, and then once you notice anything, go to let us say in the hospital, it's nothing. Okay. We don't have any joy in arresting anybody or admitting people. In fact,
why are people scared of being admitted into hospitals?
Well, there are so very many reasons. Chief of that is the fact that they lose their freedom to do whatever they want. Many people engage in a unhealthy lifestyle, so you will not be allowed to take alcohol that you like to take. You will not be allowed to take whatever mineral or junk that you are addicted to, and you can't even, if you're an admission,
your life will just be regimented.
Yeah, it's regimented, and you are a free man, so you don't want that. People telling you, professionals telling you what to do, when to get up, when to sleep, when to go to pee, when not to. You'll be surprised that a lot of people still throw away drugs. They will not complete their dosage. They will force you to complete them. Well, appeal to you or try to make you complete their dosage, stuff like that. And then economic challenge is real. It's not free. Medical service is expensive around the world. So people will have to pay. And, they could use the money for bare essentials. So why would they want to spend it? And it's not a pleasant thing either to take injection or to even take drugs. It's not very pleasant.
That's all.
Yes. So those are the reasons why people feel, hospital, no. But it's better you come, we nip it in the bud. I mean,
and you go home happy.
Yes, you go home happy. I tell you, there were 4 people that actually came. The beginning of this year, there were 4 people that came to actually donate blood, free of charge.
Free.
Yeah. And we found out, while screening them, that they have cancer.
Wow.
Yeah. And we refer them, and they're going their treatment. They're more handsome than I am, and looking healthier than you and I, and they come take their treatment and go away. You never know they have cancer. And they're doing well. They are not admitted at all. They just come take their treatment.
All right, is it a fact or a myth that some sufferers of sickle cell do not have crisis? They don't fall sick, but they are sufferers.
It is true. It is indeed true.
It is not a myth.
It's not a myth.
Please explain.
There are a number of factors. Number 1 is genetic. Remember, I tell you, when we pick only one thing, we're picking only hemoglobin variant. There are so very many other things rolled into that personality, that human being, scientifically. So it could make the person less prone.
Okay.
Maybe ventilation, internal oxygen distribution is better. And then one of the things, it just occurred to me, people should try and plant things around their houses. Usual basic, flowers, not the dangerous one, because plants generally, clean the environment and release oxygen. So it's very good. Yes, it's very, very good. People should not cut down plants and flowers. They should plant good flowers around the house.
No one will have Shylock landlords.
Yes, that's right.
That's on the
that's
one.
right.
But now let's look at treatment before we go. How?
Then another thing I want to talk about, it not being a myth, is that environmental factor is also there. Because there are some places where they use a particular chewing stick that has anti-sickling effect.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, it's very common, and we've seen quite a number of.
So herbs work too when it comes to.
Yeah, but there are specific ones that has been known that has anti-sickling effect.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, we'll find time to discuss that.
Some may, for some people, it may not work as much as for some others. Yes.
Because of certain factors too.
That's a genetic makeup of that person.
Okay.
A whole total. So natural things are good, but what works for you, identify and then keep to it.
All right, sickle cell disease is not curable, so how do we treat and
Well,
manage?
when we say it's not curable, we put that in inverted commas. Because as I talk to you right now, in UBTH we have stem cell transplantation facility.
That's awesome.
But it's very, very expensive. Costs a few millions actually.
Okay.
But even then, it is not every patient that qualifies. And it has its risks. It has its risks. There are no guarantees.
It's like giving some fun and then using the other hand to take you back.
No.
Or giving somebody some fun.
No.
I give you this amount of money, and then you're saying, oh, bring it back.
No. We don't do that at all. See, there are risks and benefits in anything. Every drug is a poison. There are risks and benefits. All right? People use sniper to get rid of insects in the house, but people drink sniper as poison and they die. So there is some risk.
We'll try not to call them drugs or products on this program. So we'll play down the names.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just talking about what is in vogue that people.
Okay.
So what I'm basically trying to say here is that people should realize that when they come to the hospital, we balance the risk and benefit. And if they do not qualify, any procedure you go through at all in a hospital is risky. But people pull through it. So you go too. But there are conditions we look at. There are risks involved. So nobody can just say, oh, well, you know, at any age you just walk in there, drop SS, since you have the money, pick up A and walk away. Just see, transfusion is like organ transplant. Some are not successful. There is rejection. Because the stem cell will wipe out the genetic makeup of the person clean. And during this period, the person does not have any defense mechanism at all. So that's part of the reason why it's very expensive, because the place just has to be airtight, sterile. It doesn't have, the wipe it clean, and then we now give the stem cell, and then we hope that the body, after doing various tests that we could, will still not reject, because if it's rejected, then
you're starting the procedure again, or the person may just die?
Could, and we find who perhaps
the match.
Yeah, we keep matching possibilities
until you get, for as long as the person has money.
Well, the thing is, no, well, of course you have to be able to afford it to begin with. Then secondly, we pick the best that match.
So how long is the process? 1 month, 2 months, 1 year?
No. It takes quite a while. It takes a couple of months, depending, because you see, management is conservative.
In the hospital for that period.
Yes. Management is conservative. What I mean by conservative management is that, you see, generally medical science in the hospital manage conservatively. Your body tells us what it requires, and we just follow. That's conservative management. Your body tells us, once your body begins to say is recovering, we step down on the concentration of the drug we are giving you, if necessary, as necessary. We step down on and then we allow your body to take over and wipe out whatever is necessary.
All right, Mr. Samuel Ayari, I want to thank you very much for finding time to be with us on the program. And I also want to advise you there watching, please, if you're AS, don't do AS, okay? Look for somebody who's AA. If you're SS, do AA, okay? So that the world will be a better place. We don't have to bring in children into this world to suffer. Try your best possible to go do checkups before you think of making babies.
There's one more thing. Let people come to the hospital to donate blood to save life, especially, yes.
Okay.
And they should not stigmatize.
Okay. So that's it for today. We'll see you again on Monday. Until then, stay healthy. Bye.